Hello everyone, I'm Nick from nextstepnick.com. I'm joined today again by Vicky. Hello.
Hello everyone.
Hello, and we're going to be talking a bit more about the latest game news, but also about our weeks a little bit, what we've been playing, what we like, what we dislike, what's good, what's bad, what hasn't been killed by the coronavirus, all those kind of things.
Coronavirus has killed my will to live.
It's crazy, isn't it? The amount of media going on, and I understand it's a fear, but at the same time, the fear-mongering helps no one.
I mean, so we got our shopping on Thursday night, and I swear to God, we went to Lidl, and there's just entire shelves cleaned out. Like, everywhere I am, you can't get toilet paper, you can't get soap. It's mental. And I know it's bubonic plague, but at the same time, we do need to be worried, but maybe not just worried. I don't know.
I think the problem is neither of us are doctors, and I'm not going to say that we are, but at the same time, from what I've heard about this, it's basically an advanced flu, and the problem is that you don't detect it when you first get it.
Yeah.
So you can give it to people and they don't know, and then it's a danger for especially people with immunity that's compromised or people who are in old age.
Exactly, yeah.
But for the most part, I think people are just freaking out a little bit. I mean, but the problem is that the media only really highlights the people that die. I mean, the amount of people that have got infected and got better, they're not going to talk about, but the amount of people that die, oh god, yeah, it'll be all over the paper.
Well, I think it's more the fact that it's spreading so quickly, and there could be a whole lot of people homesick from work at once, which I think is what they're panicking about. So yeah, it's not going to kill you, but yeah, it's still serious.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that it's basically a strain of flu, COVID, as far as I know, and the problem is that the flu kills a ridiculous number of people every year, and, we kind of just deal with it. And I think the problem is I can understand why things are getting cancelled. I mean, that's part of the game news this week, is so many things have been cancelled because of the coronavirus, and I understand that because we don't want to spread things around, but at the same time, I wish we'd stop telling everyone that it was like an apocalypse level threat.
I mean, but it is and it isn't, because I mean, we haven't got a vaccine, we haven't got immunity. It spreads super quickly. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be mass panicked, but I think there's a reason they've kind of said, hey, it's a big deal.
Well, you say that, but then you look in the past and we've had swine flu, bird flu, all of these things that were going to wipe us all out and then didn't. And this is just a strain of the flu. And it's just a case of, okay, yeah, you can catch this and you don't know you've got it for a while. That's about it, really. It's not really dangerous unless you've got certain problems. So I don't know why. I think it's a case of the media knows that fear sells stuff, and that's why they tend to go with that story. It tends to freak people out, and fear sells newspapers.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think they are overselling the threat a tad, but at the same time, I do think we need to be wary. I know my work has been, they've been prepping all week for plans for when everything goes bad. So we might end up working from home for all I know. So it's like I said, it's serious. If they shut down the trains, I'm in trouble. But hopefully it's not gonna get too many people if we're smart about it.
No, I mean, if you compare the current level of casualties to what you get from the flu year on year, it's not as bad by a significant amount. And like I say, they'll tell you all about the people that have died, but they haven't said about the number of people that have gotten better, which is pretty significant as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's more just they are trying to protect the people who need it the most, really.
I think that's the problem, is that it's a case of the people who are most vulnerable are the ones at risk, really. It's not a case of, okay, everyone who gets this is going to get deadly ill. It's a case of, okay, you're going to give this to someone by accident, and then they're going to get ill. I love the way as well, though, I know we're talking about doom and gloom, and sorry for everyone who's joined in for game discussion, but it's kind of tied to it this week, so, everything's getting cancelled. I mean, there was a Pokemon tournament that's been cancelled. There's a couple of esports games that have been cancelled. There's obviously loads and loads of people have dropped out of one of the game events.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so that's basically been cancelled as well. There has been a lot of cancellations. There was talk, to be honest, that it might even affect stuff like the Olympics.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy, and I can understand why, because you don't want to basically put everyone in one place where it can spread really easily. But it's really caused a dent in the games industry. I mean, at the moment we're talking about the fact that Switches aren't meeting the demand because there's a slowdown due to the virus.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, factories aren't working to prime efficiency. There's been talk that the PlayStation 5 might be delayed due to that problem as well.
Well, I mean, haven't they just delayed the latest James Bond film because of it?
I believe so, yeah. They've delayed a lot of stuff, like especially like when it comes to the media, because so much of our stuff comes from the East. You know, you get a lot of stuff from China and that kind of area. If something like this happens, then what can you do?
Well, this is it, but I'm just hoping that it doesn't get too much worse.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's a case of a lot of people are going to get it, which is a shame. But then at the same time, like I say, it's an awful situation, but at least the one thing you can sort of take solace in is that it's nowhere near as bad as the flu every year. So it's a shame and it's awful, like that people are going to get ill, and especially people who are vulnerable. But at the same time, the lucky thing is that it's not on the same level as the flu, because that would be the problem really if we had this alongside the flu and this was doing just as much damage, you know. But I think that's the thing.
It's 30 days.
Well, yeah, true, but I think they're working towards stuff. I mean, I know there's been a talk about different vaccines and things like that as well, and it's a case of, you know, you just need to be really careful at the moment. Make sure you wash your hands and stuff like that. But in regard to sort of game impact, it's really impacted sort of game releases and stuff like that. Quite a few things have been delayed. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Fingers crossed everything will kind of get back to normal soon. And everyone out there as well, be careful, be safe, make sure you wash your hands and such.
Yeah, for God's sake, just carry hand sanitizer when you're on the tube.
Yeah, and don't touch people who look a bit, you know, like they're coughing all over the place and stuff like that.
Yeah, God help all the retail workers and the nurses, I tell ya.
Yeah, well, it's funny really that we're in a society that is so used to shaking hands, which is just in general, even without the coronavirus, quite a gross thing to do, just saying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because, you know, you cover your mouth with your hand when you cough, you cover your mouth with your hand when you sneeze, you regularly will be putting your hands in your mouth and not washing them afterwards, and then you'll be shaking hands with people you don't know, which is lovely, and that happens all the time anyway, so thank you for that, Western society.
I give up. I welcome the Android revolution at this point.
Yeah, I think the thing is that hopefully this will slowly but surely get better, and then we'll go from there. But as far as things are concerned with the games industry, it means that a lot of stuff is delayed. But you know one thing that wasn't delayed?
What?
Final Fantasy VII demo, and it's really, really, really good.
I haven't touched it yet because I'm still in the throes of Ultra Despair Girls and I'm loving it, and I haven't really got the mental energy to be playing anything new yet. But I've been hearing good things.
It's fantastic. I'm an old school Final Fantasy fan, so I played Final Fantasy VII when I was a kid, when I was about 6 or 7, and my god, it's good. I was worried about the fact that it's not as turn-based anymore. You can switch it to be classic mode, but I wanted to try out the new modes. It's done really, really well. It plays really well. It's easy to play. The new modes are understandable and fun. The gameplay is great. The music is fantastic. It's really, really cool. They've done a couple of things that are different, and of course the story's going to be slightly different, but when you look at that world recreated with the current graphics that they're using, it's so good. I love it. I had a great time with it. I played it through. I was going to play 10 minutes and go to bed. I ended up playing the whole thing in one sitting. I'm so excited for the re-release, the remake, sorry.
How long does it run for?
About an hour, 2 hours, give or take. Well, tell a lie, probably about an hour if you rush through it.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's really, really, really good. I'm genuinely so excited for... I explored everywhere and stuff like that. It took me about an hour. But I cannot wait for the remake to come out.
I'm tentatively excited, but I'm also very conscious of the fact it's Persona 5 Royal this month.
Yeah, so I heard. Persona 5 Royal is out this month. Are you excited?
Very excited. I've forgotten how much I missed it. So
yeah.
I'm going to be very glad to go back to it. And considering that game and the remake are releasing within a few days of each other, might have to choose.
Yeah, I mean, I've got... The ones I've got looking forward to at the moment, obviously, is Doom this month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I'm very excited for Doom. I know Animal Crossing as well has had a really sweet friendship with the Doom fan base, and I think that's lovely, by the way. I've really liked that.
It's so cute. I keep seeing all of the gift sets on Tumblr, and I'm just like, I've played a bit of Animal Crossing, and I kind of want to buy more.
Yeah, I like Animal Crossing. I've not played much of it. I like what I've played, but I haven't played much of it. But Doom is my jam. I love Doom. I think that Mick Gordon, the guy behind the soundtrack, is amazing. I love his stuff. I think the game was fantastic. I think it's 2016. It was so good. It was so fun and fluid and fresh. And I went to an event where I've actually played the new Doom already.
Yeah, oh, okay, so where did you get to play that?
I was at QuakeCon.
Oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah, so I had time to go and actually play the new Doom, and it's fantastic. It's so good. It plays very quickly, just like the other one. It's very gory because of course it is. The music is wonderful, and they've added a couple of new features. They've added like a flamethrower now, and they've also
Nice.
added like a grapple ability where you can sort of use your shotgun to grapple around. And I was worried that would slow down gameplay, but it really doesn't. It adds like a tactical level to everything. It's so good, and I cannot wait to play it.
I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about Doom, like, ever.
Yeah, I mean, Doom 3 got a bit of flack, but 2016 and the ones
Yeah.
before have been great.
Yeah, no, I heard nothing bad said about Doom 2016.
I love it. I think it's so good. I think it's just a beautiful project tied with a nice, neat little bow, and it's just, it was so good. I'm genuinely excited to get back into it. I like what they've added. I think they've done some really unique stuff. I think the environments are pretty impressive, and graphically it looks wonderful. So I'm pretty hyped.
Okay, well, that's great. I'm pleased.
Yeah, and to be honest, Animal Crossing looks lovely, so I'm probably going to jump into that as well.
If I was rich, yes. But nah. I'm looking at it from afar, and I'm just like, you know what? In the million years, when I finally get a Switch, maybe.
Honestly, I think the Switch is probably one of my favourite consoles.
I don't like a lot of Nintendo stuff. It's not really my thing, so it would just be. I mean, that being said, I did end up finding a copy of Hero 2 for the Wii, and I was like, this is a nice, weird little addition for my collection. So it goes on the shelf with little chance of me ever playing it, considering that they've redubbed the main voice actress as well, so it's just like, eh.
Yeah, see, for me, I thought the Switch is great. I mean, I've liked the AAA products on there. I did get the Switcher. I just finished the Switcher the other day. I really like The Witcher anyway, but it was lovely to be able to play on my commute. I've got a lot of indie games on there. It's such a great platform for indie games. I love the fact that I can go through there, get a couple of indie things and play them on the commute or play them on the go. I think it's great. I mean, I'm up in Scotland next week, so I'll be using that for the commute. So good. And then I've also got stuff like I really like the most recent Mario games. They've been great. I was never a Nintendo kid. I was like a Sega kid. I grew up with like a Sega Mega Drive or Sega Saturn, for those of you who aren't from the the UK, sorry. But I grew up on Sonic. I grew up on Sonic, Altered Beast, Streets of Rage, those kind of games. I didn't really get to play Nintendo, but the Switch has really given me an opportunity. I love it. I've always liked them from afar, but Super Mario Odyssey was just a joy. Zelda Breath of the Wild was great. I mean, I played the Zelda games back on Game Boy. I played one or two, and they were okay. But Breath of the Wild was brilliant. And then on top of that, I was playing the Phoenix Wright games, and it's just, there's so much stuff on there, gameplay wise and things you can get wise for the Switch. It's a bit pricey when it comes to the games, but that's Nintendo. But the games are so good. I've had such a blast with it. I love it as a platform. I think it's fantastic, and I think the way that they're helping indie developers, the way that they're supporting small-time developers to create for it, is such a good thing. Such a good thing. I'm generally very impressed with Nintendo. I know they sometimes make sort of silly mistakes here and there. I didn't like what they did with Mario Maker when they started issuing people bloody copyright strikes to take stuff down, but I think that they've done some wonderful things for the industry, and like with the Switch, I think great, love it, absolutely love it.
I mean, why don't we get more Nintendo? Because I miss Nintendo, because I feel this was a staple of the early 2000s. We deserve
Yeah.
Nintendogs.
There's not been any Nintendogs for a while. There was one for Switch.
Was there?
I believe so, yeah. Or there was a dog kind of game for Switch, I believe. Not too long ago, about half a year ago, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But there was a game like that. And obviously the ones that would be most similar to that now, to be honest, would be Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I just want cute dogs.
Yeah, see, for me, I like playing casual games as well. Like, I like playing games that are a bit more relaxing and a bit more chill. I like my puzzle games and stuff like that. But I like story. I like really strong story. And if I can play a story on the train, I'm sold.
That's fair. See, I don't have a particularly long commute, so it's probably not quite aimed at me.
Yeah. See, I think the Switch is just one of those consoles where it's just done a good service for me. I got it, to be honest, initially I got it because I don't like flying, and it was a really good way to distract myself from flying. But
okay.
it's just been a joy. I like the fact that I can just sit there and play it while stuff is downloading. I like the fact that I can play it on the go. I like the fact that it's easy multiplayer. Loads of the games are local. I thought Luigi's Mansion 3, to be honest, was really, really nice. The way that they'd utilised graphical, sort of the way they'd used the graphics in that game was just great. I know they didn't have a great amount of horsepower when you compare it to like the Xbox One or the PS4 or PCs, but they did a great thing with what they've got, and the game looks gorgeous. Like, it's just, I think Nintendo do a great job of making things that are kind of accessible for everyone, and I think that's a nice thing. I love the fact that they're there doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a matter of taste, because I'm just like, no, I want my grim dark, give me gritty or give me death kind of thing. So it's just not the circles I tend to run in.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of thing are you thinking when you say that?
What do you mean?
Like, what kind of thing is your go-to for, like, if you're talking sort of like grim and dark, what kind of things would be your go-tos, your examples?
I mean, the current love of my life, which is Danganronpa, has given me so much joy. It is unbelievable. I think it's mostly because it's well written as well. But I don't know, I just like games with a bit of a punch to them. Whereas stuff like Animal Crossing, I think it looks cute, but it's a little bit too cute for me, and after a while I'm going to start getting bored.
Okay. So what about stuff like Doom or The Witcher or stuff like that?
Doom, I don't really tend to do shooters because my eyesight's really poor, so basically shooters aren't really my jam. And also I have a lot of problems with my hands as well, so it's kind of like the whole button mash thing doesn't really work for me. Witcher has been on my list to play because it's either going to be one of those things that I either really like or I really hate, because I'm really, like, I don't do high fantasy, I'm picky with the stuff I like. So
Okay.
I think the better comparison would be like Fallout 3 in New Vegas, and we don't talk about Fallout 4 because it doesn't exist in my brain. But
Yeah.
like, that's the kind of like setup that I like.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I think it just engages with me more than just, like, I never got into The Legend of Zelda either for the same reason. It's just like everything is cute and happy all the time, and it doesn't vibe with me for some reason.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Breath of the Wild has got like its moments, but I don't think it's not saccharine, if you know what I mean. It's got some really nice moments. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really like the weapon durability, which I think was the feedback that quite a lot of people gave. But on the whole, I thought the game was really fun. I thought it did some really cool things. I really enjoyed my time with it. At the moment, like I say, I've just finished The Witcher again. I've got some DLC to do that I didn't actually do, which is the Blood and Wine DLC that I hadn't done before, so I'm doing that now, and that's a blast.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, the DLC is great. Like, they've put so much effort in. CD Projekt Red have done such a good job with it, and I mean, I like stuff like the Ace Attorney series. I never really got a chance to play Phoenix Wright in the past, so I'm now on to the third game, and it's a blast. It's really, really fun.
I love Phoenix Wright. I managed to snag the entire collection when I was still working in game, and this was years ago. But I managed to snag the entire DS collection, like all together, because somebody traded them in at once. They are a delight.
Yeah, I've had a great time so far. I mean, I'm on to the third game, and I'm still doing a bit of that, and I'm really enjoying it when I get to play it. But to be honest, speaking of stuff that is quite sweet, but quite, you know, it has its dark moments, I've also just been working on some stuff for Luna, the Shadow Dust, which was sent to me by a developer, and my god, I love that game. I've got a real relationship with that game now.
Oh, that's nice. That's like, I'm struggling through. Hang on, what's it called? Got a long title, so I keep forgetting. Synthetic Blood Mindshift.
Okay.
So I kind of want to trade, to be honest. I want something that I'm vibing with. I'm just like resisting the urge to go back to Ultra Disturber and just being like, good gameplay, good plot. I'm back.
Oh really? See, the thing I like about Luna, I'm actually doing like a deep dive video at the moment, so if you're listening to this, then that will be out in the very near future. I'd imagine either Monday or Tuesday, but it's more of a deep dive that will go in depth as to why I like it. But I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think the storyline is wonderful. There's no talking, so everything is shown to you through imagery, and you have to kind of puzzle it together yourself. But it's got some wonderful characterization. The world is beautiful. I think the soundtrack's wonderful. It's one of those games that has really sort of evoked this feeling of love in me, and I'm having a blast. It's quite sweet. It's not really like a dark thing. There are moments, but it's not really a dark game. But I love it. I've had such a blast with it at the moment.
Oh, that's really nice. I'm glad.
What about yourself? So what game are you currently playing, were you saying?
So it is called Synthetic Blood Mindshift, and I'm losing my mind a little bit because the control support doesn't really work. It kept freezing whenever I tried to use it with the controller, so I gave up and I've started using the keypad. I had to remap all the controls to make it actually easy to play with a keyboard, and oh my god, like, I don't do PC games for a reason. and this is why.
Oh, really? Was it not mapped to like WASD or anything like that?
It was, but I'm not used to using those, and also like you kind of have to jump with space, but then you also have to aim with the mouse as well. And I was just like, no, this is too difficult. Right, we're just going back to arrow keys and space because I can reach it easier.
That's a controversial one, using the arrow keys. I think everyone's kind of WASD now.
Yeah, but like when I think just about the time when I was like getting into games as a kid, a lot of the games I had didn't really involve those kind of things. Like a lot of it was just using the arrow keys. Like I played a lot of the Harry Potter games back in the day.
Yeah.
With kind of point with mouse, move with arrow keys. And I just find it a lot easier. And also because at the moment my right hand is doing a lot better than my left one. So it's easier for me to do that than kind of contorting my left hand.
Oh, okay.
And also, but it's just stuff like, it's clunky and it's difficult. Like I would be fine with it if it was on a controller, because obviously I've got one hand to move and I've got one hand to hit the buttons and it's all fine. But for whatever damn reason there is, I can't get the controller thing to work. It keeps freezing. And then it's just like info dump after info dump after info dump. And it's just like, I've played an hour, I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to keep limping through, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I've had similar things in the past where I've played something and I've kind of devoted myself to it and thought, no, I'm going to stick with this and I'll see how I get on. But the controls have made it difficult. I mean, for myself, obviously, I'm quite used to PC gaming since I was younger, and so WASD, space, and the mouse is usual for me. But I think it raises a good question in regard to accessibility.
Oh yeah, completely. Like for me, I find it much easier to be using a controller. That I have to be careful with like my thumbs and like button mashing and things. But it's just so much easier to grip, easier to hold, easier to find your way around. Like I will happily play anything on PC. Like when I used to do games for GGS, I quite happily play any of the PC codes we got, so long as it had controller support, because it just made things so much easier for me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that's kind of the question that people don't realise sometimes as well, is that when it comes to accessibility options, some people don't have the choice. You can't say, oh, okay, then you just use WASD, space, and the arrow keys or whatever, because some people don't have that ability or that kind of dexterity, but they still want to play a game. And that's why, you know, remapping controls and stuff like controller support is quite important, because, you know, you shouldn't... It's quite easy to add those features and make a game accessible to everyone.
Well, and this is it. And you know what else it is? It's things like subtitles and the ability to change the colour of subtitles, change the size of the subtitles. Like, well, I think it was Skyrim that I was playing, where the font was just nigh on unreadable for someone with shitty eyesight like me, because it was tiny and slightly curled font. And I was just like, guys, I need it in block letters, preferably in white and blown up. But nah.
I think that's the thing. Is a lot of... Do you know who's really good for that? Nintendo, to be fair.
Okay.
They're very good for their accessibility options. There's a lot of good accessibility options that you can get in games with them, which is, I think, great. But I think that's the thing that people don't realise when they've got these options, is that they are kind of vital for people, because a lot of people want to play games and have the same experiences as everyone else, but they can't.
Yeah, and it's just like, and this was before I had to wear glasses full time as well, but when I was really struggling to see, it's just, I welcome the ability to be able to make the subtitles massive. Like the Walking Dead game does this, and it's really nice, just because I can make them huge. I think Life is Strange does it as well.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
Well, speaking of games that are nigh on unplayable due to bad controls, well, I have been playing Dreams, the PS4 game creator. I got that because I thought, I'm making games, I'm quite creative, I like writing, I'm a bit of a writer, I'll have a go at that. The controls on that game, my god, the controls on that game. It's some of the... even remembering it now, it's like PTSD, I'm having flashbacks. It was awful. The controls are difficult. You can do it with 2 Move controllers, that's a pain. So if you do it with the actual controller itself, you can do that, but... It's so difficult to control, and the amount of time that they spend... The problem is that Dreams is a great thing. You can make some wonderful stuff. Some people have made some brilliant games. One guy even got a job, believe it or not, with a game company from a game that he made on it. And that's great. And I love the fact that that tool is there. The problem I've got with it, though, is that they immediately throw about 300 tutorials at you, right? Every tutorial isn't just, okay, this is how you do this. Hold this, press this, there you go. The tutorials are like, oh no, it looks like our good friend Coney is stuck on an island. Oh dear, he's always getting into trouble, isn't he? shall we open our menu and help him? And it's like, right, I'm really sorry, but who is this game for? Because if you're making a game and it's a complex thing, it's not going to be for kids. Let's be honest. I mean, it can be, but if you're 10 years old, you're going to be struggling with advanced geometry.
Yeah, pretty much.
And physics. Whereas, you know, the people that are going to be playing this will tend to be sort of 16 and up, interested in the games industry, wanting to make something, wanting to create stuff. And younger people will play it, and I get that. But don't make the tutorials really, really just patronising. I do a lot of stuff with Photoshop and a lot of stuff with Adobe. I would hate it if when I was doing tutorials for stuff that I do that is a bit more complicated, if the video started with, "Hello there, how are you? Hope you've had a lovely day." Okay, yeah, that's great. I have 5 minutes, I want to solve one thing. Can you show me, please? I don't want to be told, like, "Oh yeah, look at this, isn't it crazy?" No, I don't care. I'm really sorry, I don't care. Your control system is poo. I'm not having fun with this. It's annoying me now. I want to make stuff, please. Show me how to do things and go away.
Yeah, I mean, like with this one as well, with Synthetic Mind, you've also got to be, like, there's a distinct lack of tutorials, and I don't think it's mapped very well for the controller. Because it was popping up with, like, to interact with this thing, press button 6. And I was like, okay, well, what the hell's button 6? And then it got to the point where the game froze, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just like stuck on the dialogue screen, and I'm meant to like press a button to get the menu to go away.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I tried this about 3 times and then just gave up and did it with the controller, and then it's just like, oh yeah, you need to press F. And I was like, oh, okay. And it goes. So I was like, oh, and I went through the entire settings menu thing to try and like methodically pressing and trying to find out what button 6 was. I can't find out what button 6 is. It'll forever remain a mystery.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that, like, whereas some stuff will be standard for some people, for others it won't be, but also I think tutorials are like an optional thing that should be there. Like, you know, I don't really play tutorials, to be honest. I tend to throw myself in and just, you know, whatever happens, happens. If the game's intuitive, great. And, you know, sometimes that's a problem. That's to my detriment, because I might die or struggle. But most of the time, like, okay, I can figure this out, unless it's really complicated. Dreams, for example, is very complicated. You need to watch tutorials. But if I do have to watch the tutorials, I want them to tell me everything I need to know in the quickest and best way possible. I don't want filler. I don't want filler in my tutorials.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Like, I think I would lose interest very quickly if it was something that needed 11 million tutorials, unless I had a heavy investment in it. Like, there's a world that you basically there's a creation kit you can download for The Sims 3, and it's like the world creator kit where you can make your own like lands and neighborhoods and stuff. I'm heavily invested in doing that. I want to.
Oh yeah.
But I can imagine for anything else, I might just be a bit, why am I doing this again?
Yeah, I mean, like with Dreams, I really like making games and stuff. I like making things. I like writing stories. I like script writing. I like editing, making videos. I like doing all that kind of stuff. If I was more musically minded, like I can make sort of mixes and stuff, but I can't really play an instrument. Not very well anyway. I play a bit of bass. But I like to make stuff. That's fun for me. I like to do those kind of things. But like with Photoshop, I like to make things, and that's fun. But that's purely the reason I'm sticking with Dreams, and also because I've invested 30 quid in it. But I wish it was more succinct, and that's the thing that's putting me off right now. I think about playing it. Well, I say playing. I think about creating in it, and I just think, you know, I can't be bothered. I like it, and I want to do a lot more, and I know it's very powerful and it can do some great stuff. But I just wish it was clearer in regard to how it showed you things. I wish the tutorials told me what I needed to know when I needed to know it, rather than telling me a little story that goes, I don't need my tutorials justified, you know? This isn't The Witcher, this isn't Skyrim. I don't need them to be part of the canon. I just need them to show me how something works and go away.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Danganronpa's doing, and it's really pleasant. It's just like, here's a couple of text screens, you can click through them, and that's it. It's not overly complicated for the sake of being overly complicated.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think that's a point to its credit, to be honest.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Definitely. I mean, it's just, I think it's difficult to get this stuff right sometimes, and I get that, you know, especially if you've got a lot of information to relay. But if you're going to relay a lot of information, you don't need to be holding the person's hand in a patronising way. They're there to learn. They want to learn. You don't need to encourage them to get in on the story because they're already invested.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just silly, really. I see it on the same level as, you know, putting the store mascot inside the store.
Kinda, yeah.
If I'm already in there, I don't want a little fella jumping around and handing me flyers. I'm already in there. Leave me alone.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's one of those things, really. But I've had a good time with it so far when it comes to actually using the system. It's really fun. It's difficult as heck, but it's fun, and I'm going to learn it. I'm going to take my time, and hopefully I will learn a little bit more about it, but we'll see how it goes, really, because, like I say, it really pushes my buttons sometimes when I'm trying to figure out how to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give Synthetic Blood another go. I'm going to try and play a bit more, but to be honest, it's not looking hopeful.
No, that's a shame. That's a shame because I've played a couple of bits recently that have been kind of negative. Luna for me was really, ironically enough, because of the name, was really a light in the darkness for me. It encouraged me to really carry on playing. I mean, I started playing it today, thinking, yeah, you know, I'll play a little bit today, get a bit into it, see how it plays. Fell in love with it, and I've basically played it all day. I've done a bit of other things.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some duties I've had to do and some writing I've had to do here and there, but for the most part, I've just been absorbed and I've loved it. Loved every second of it. So I'm hoping that other stuff can follow in the same way. I played a couple of bits that weren't so great, and, you know, they do sap the life out of you a little bit. But
Yeah, it's kind of just like, have I played enough of this yet? And you kind of check the Steam timer and it's like, oh no, I haven't.
no, I mean, there's an element of that. I mean, I did a video earlier that will be up soon of playing, I can't even remember what it's called. It's basically Pong. It's basically the game Pong from back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought the name made me think that it was going to be something really different. The name was Hypergalactic Psychic Table Tennis 3000.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh.
It looks really cool, and the art style is wonderful. From when you look at the actual, you know, the little icon for the game, looks great, looks interesting, looks funny. The actual screens between games are really fun as well because there's like a jokey, slightly comical leveling system. There's some like comical stuff written in there and little parodies of other things. There's some interesting stuff like that, and there's like a couple of mechanics, maybe one or two that are a bit new, but for the most part, you're basically playing Pong, just with different coloured paddles and stuff. And there's no characterization, there's no real anything, and it's so different from the image. It was so jarring. And I think that kind of set me up to have such a blast as well with Luna, because I went to that and just thought, my God, they're doing this right.
Yeah, and this is why I've been so enamored with Danganronpa recently, because like I got burnt out hard by Kingdom Hearts 3. I was just like, you know what, I'm so done with this. I'm really done with running series, Japanese series that just they're written like crap and they don't make sense. And then this thing rocks up, and it's not afraid to be dark. It's not afraid to almost go too far, because it's like, if they're like, oh no, we can't do that, you know, it'll scare the audience. No, it does what it wants. And the fact that the plot runs together really well and it actually makes sense, and you're not sitting there going, why are the characters being so incredibly stupid? It's just so much better.
Yeah, I think there's nothing quite as bad as an idiot plot.
Oh, completely. And this is what the problem was with Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just like, there wasn't even a plot. It was just, let's, you know, romp around with Disney characters for 25 hours. You know, why? Where's all the original content? There's just nothing.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing, is that there's some interesting stuff that comes out. I'm a big anime and manga fan, for people that don't know. So I watch a lot of anime, I read a lot of manga. And there's some stuff that comes out, I mean, I'm talking about your Demon Slayers, I'm talking about your My Hero Academias, I'm talking about stuff like that you watch it and you think, this is something else, this is amazing. You know, they've got a great plot, they've got great characters, they've got a really good score, it makes sense, there's interesting stuff going on, but there's also funny moments and asides, and they're not scared to get a little bit dark sometimes. And then you get stuff coming out that's kind of like your Fire Forces, where you go, yeah, this is kind of cool and I dig it, but you know, it doesn't quite hit the mark and it's okay, and I like it though. And then you've got stuff that comes out that's, yeah, it just, I think there was a couple of things I've watched and read where I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't I'm trying my best to, if you know what I mean. And I think
Yeah.
some people would disagree with me, and they go, "Oh, actually, no." But there's some stuff where I just think, okay, then. Like a really good example of this is Attack on Titan,
Oh yeah.
Shingeki no Kyojin. Now that, when it first came out, as a series and as a manga, really interesting intrigue, really strange story full of twists and turns. Who are the Titans? Oh, they're very different than what we've seen. What's going on? And I'm not really going to say any spoilers, but all I'm going to say is it goes from this show all about Titans and interesting stuff like that and this unique world into being like a really heavy, stodgy political discourse show that has the politics between multiple countries and stuff like that thrown around, or multiple areas, I should say. And then on top of that, there's this whole thing where, you know, there's like prejudices and stuff like that, and you think, yeah, fair enough, but at the same time, you can sometimes have whole editions of the manga. I mean, I've seen the most recent series of the anime, and yeah, that's cool, but they're only going to do apparently one more season of the anime. I have no idea how they're going to tie this all together, because the manga has gone on for ages. It's now at the point where a lot of it is making sense, but you have to reread it
Yeah.
to be like, wait, what? You know, and characters are constantly doing things that are a bit convoluted, and you can't really root for anyone, and it's very kind of... and
That sucks.
yeah, it's a shame because it started off so promisingly, but it just ended up being so, yeah, you know. Like now I'll read it out of interest, but, you know, I wouldn't consider myself a super fan. I just, yeah, it's okay. It's alright, I suppose. But it's a shame, and I think that's the same kind of experience, I'm guessing, that you're kind of having, in that, you know, this is, when stuff stands out compared to that, you think, oh, this is amazing, and I'm having that with Luna, and you're having that with Danganronpa.
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting a lot out of Ultra Despair Girls. I thought it was like a side game. I didn't actually realise there was a lot of main plot in there, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah. Well, what kind of thing are you doing? What kind of game is it?
Well, it's a complete like reversal of what the like so 1 and 2 are, because it's action adventure basically, and it's covering what happened in Toa City between the events of the first game and the events of the second game, and it's very much kind of tactical fighting. So it's a complete departure from what it was before, and it's great.
Okay, sounds interesting. Now,
And I think the one thing I really do like is where this falls differently to Kingdom Hearts is the the whole games we've had 4 games, we've had like 2 anime series, and it's covering a very specific amount of time, and it's kind of fleshing out characters that are already there. It's not going, oh yeah, we need to add another 8 of just poorly fleshed out characters. It's like, no, we've got our core 6, we've got our core 2, we've got however many, and we're working on expanding them, which is just so refreshing.
it sounds good. I mean, you were just mentioning, and this is a complete tangent, and I hope no one calls me out for this, but let's be honest, you know, nobody's watching. No, I'm joking. But I don't think anyone will. But you mentioned that this game takes place between 1 and 2. Do you know what other game's coming out soon that takes place between one game and another game?
Resident Evil 3?
Well, yes, but the one I was going to go for was Half-Life Alyx.
Oh yeah, to be honest, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to that because I'm not into the Half-Life thing. But,
Oh, really?
No, I've never played it.
Oh, you
Is
never
it
played
good?
Half-Life? It's amazing. It's a good game. You can see a lot of the influences in modern gaming from Half-Life 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, Valve has very much sort of, in the past anyway, led the charge on making some really revolutionary stuff. I mean, they've revolutionised the industry multiple times. Half-Life is one of the games that really took advantage of physics.
Okay.
So Half-Life is kind of like the father of the physics engine in modern day gaming. Like it's a game that really took advantage of an impressive physics engine to show some really interesting stuff. They've done some really unique things. Of course, they're behind stuff like Left 4 Dead as well, Portal, all those kind of bits. Yeah, and they're a fantastic studio. When they're not, you know, letting random rubbish onto Steam, they do some good stuff. And they can't count to 3, which is a shame. But they're releasing Half-Life Alyx, which is taking place between 1 and 2. And it's the first VR title that they're making as well. And it looks pretty darn impressive, let's put it that way.
Why aren't they releasing Half-Life 3? Like, why not?
Oh, that's a question for the ages. That's a meme question. Basically, Valve never seems to release a third game in the series for anything. So they tend to get to 2 and then just stop. So Portal 1 and 2, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, Half-Life 1, 2, 2 Episode 1, 2 Episode 2, no 3. It's a sort of running joke with Valve as a studio. But they're now releasing Alyx, and they've said that Alyx is going to take place between 1 and 2. They've shown a lot of interesting gameplay as well. 3 gameplay trailers dropped this week. But the other thing that also happened, which is pretty exciting, is they said that they're going to also be looking at expanding the universe in other ways and new projects within other games, which could be very, very good.
But it's not going to be. It's become a joke at this point, right?
It has, but then at the same time, after we got Duke Nukem Forever, I feel like nothing is kind of out of the realms of possibility anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, we've seen stuff before where they've been like, no, we'll never do that. I mean, a really good example is, no, we're never going to remaster Final Fantasy VII.
Well, this is it.
We're never going to do that. You know, Nintendo will never let gory games on a console. And now we've got, you know, The Witcher on Switch. It's possible.
I mean, this is what I was kind of saying, because I remember when they released Project Zero 2 for the Wii, and I was like, okay, they redubbed Psy's voice actress, so therefore the iconic laughing scene is not as good. And I bought it for 28 quid a couple of days ago, and I was just thinking, how on earth did this make it onto a Nintendo console?
Yeah.
Considering the most iconic scene is kind of Psy standing in the middle of a room full of, like, butchered villagers. It's like, what, how?
Yeah, to be honest, they've done some really good stuff recently with AAA developers where, you know, they've got stuff like The Witcher on there. And do you know how actually embarrassing it is when you're sitting on the train and I have to physically turn my Switch away from everyone else because there is a big pair of tits on the screen. And I have to physically turn the screen away because Geralt is engaged in sexual acts with a lady. And you think, okay, can't let anyone see this, I'll turn the screen away. And then it goes on and on and on, and you think, you know, if I was at home alone, but I literally sat on a train.
Scenes in games, honestly, just why?
Pardon?
Who needs sex scenes in games? Just why? They've never done it properly.
I don't mind it. I think they do a good job in some stuff. I mean, I think The Witcher handles it quite nicely. The Witcher 2, if I remember rightly, was one of the worst when it comes to the objectification of women. It was pretty bad. But The Witcher 3, it does a good job in regard to like the sexual relationships and stuff like that. I feel like some games do it well. I think most, to be honest, it just looks like 2 slabs of meat just slapping against each other. Well, just being pushed. It's like a fridge having an intimate relationship with a wardrobe, because the models don't interact properly, so it just looks like 2 objects rubbing on each other. But
well, this is it.
Sometimes they manage to make things a little bit alluring, and there are moments in The Witcher where you think, oh, this is quite raunchy, and I don't want to be watching this next to 30 other commuters. But, you know, I'll watch it anyway. I'll enjoy it in my spare time. It was a good, like, I think it's happened 3 times now, where, you know, someone's just wandered past with their top off, and you think, okay, not on the train, I mean in the game. And that'd be an interesting journey. And it's one of those things where they've done a good job of it, but at the same time, like I say, I would never expect that kind of thing to be on Nintendo, but here we are.
Yeah. I mean, Project Zero 5 only got a release on the Wii U.
Yeah, which is surprising. Yeah. It's strange, really, because Nintendo's always been like a family-friendly company. But they have started to sort of branch out, and they've done a really good job of it. There's a lot of indie developers who are really grateful for the opportunity, and it's nice. It's nice to see them doing good work.
Yeah, I mean, well, fair play to them. It's just a bit of a cognitive dissonance is all.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. I mean, I know it's technically an awful game and you shouldn't really get it, but I never thought you'd see Mario on mobile phones, but here we are.
Fair.
But that's kind of like the things I've been playing this week. I've had a bit of a go at a couple of other bits as well. Like, I've played this Hypergalactic Psychic Table Tennis 3000. I've had a go at some other bits that I'm also going to be recording, so there will be quite a few bits out on the channel in the very near future. But apart from that, in regard to the latest news, it's just been a case of watching what's going on with various companies, to be honest. A lot of stuff to do with the coronavirus, as we mentioned, which is
Yep.
Yeah, a bit of a shame. So hopefully that things look up there soon. But other than that, I'm just excited for Doom. I'm excited for Animal Crossing. There's a lot of stuff I want to get my hands on. And then obviously later on this year, we've got Cyberpunk.
Yes, my beloved.
I'm gearing up for that. I cannot wait for that.
Just it. I'm hoping this will be another Danganronpa, and I'm excited.
It's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to have some really unique and interesting stuff going on in it. I think that it could go one of two ways, really. But CD Projekt Red have a really good track history. I'm not particularly keen on the way they treat their workers. I'm not happy about that. But when it comes to how they treat the consumer, they're usually pretty good. I think they treat people well. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, from what I've heard about the game, I'm excited. That, Final Fantasy, Doom, it's going to be a good year. And then, obviously, Resident Evil 3 you mentioned, and that looks amazing as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, not really on the Resident Evil train, but I'm happy for you all.
I'm surprised that wouldn't really appeal to you, because it's kind of story-driven, it's quite dark, it's not exactly like a stereotypical shooter.
It is, but I'm a wuss and can't play horror games. I got through Bioshock, and
I loved that game. That's one of my favourite games of all time, Bioshock.
well, that was an achievement for me.
Really?
I can't get through stereotypical horror games. I was playing Zanki Zero last year, and I got to one of the dungeons, and there's a bit where one of the enemies, it sounds like almost like a thumping heartbeat coming after you, and it freaked me out so badly. I was just like, I know it's just going to be I think it was a boar. I was like, no, can't do this. I am going to die, and I haven't picked it up again since.
Really? See, for me, the only stuff that's really frightened me, I don't really like horror games. I don't like being made to jump. I've played stuff that's been... I like atmospheric horror, where it's creepy and eerie and tension builds. I like that. I like stuff that is basically unsettling and unnerving. I like World of Horror, for example, because it puts me on edge. Also, just as a cheeky plug, there's a video on the channel that you can check out if you head back through on Next Step Nick on YouTube, or you can find it on the website as well. But yeah, that video, I quite enjoyed playing World of Horror, but it was unnerving. I like that Junji Ito style of...
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I like stuff that's kind of freaky because it's different and weird and odd. I don't like being made to jump. And when I was younger, I played Clive Barker's Undying on the PC. This was going way, way back. And that is a genuinely frightening game, even now. It hasn't held up graphically, but when it comes to the storytelling and the atmosphere, generally very frightening. I played a lot of the Resident Evils when I was a kid. They weren't really scary, per se. They were more frustrating. But then apart from that, the only other sort of horror game that's generally frightened me, other than, of course, I played a bit of like PT when the PT teaser came out. I played that, and I played, I've played like, some other different horror games like Amnesia and Outlast and stuff. And I'm not keen; they're not my thing. I'm not really into them. I can see why people like them, but they're not my thing. I don't like being made to jump, and I'm a bit of a coward.
Exactly.
But that being said, one of the games that generally frightened me as a kid, that made me jump twice to the point where I generally struggled to play it, was Metal Gear Solid, the first one.
Really?
Yeah, have you played Metal Gear Solid, the first one?
No, again, it's going to be one of those that's like, I really like it, or it'll be too artsy for its own good, and I'll just hate it.
It's a fantastic game. I think you're getting a lot of controversy this week with your hating of WASD and your not playing Half-Life or Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear's on the list, but like I said, it's just going to be one of those things that I'll either really like or I really won't.
It's a fantastic game. Metal Gear Solid 1 is a good game, like an amazing game. Metal Gear Solid 2 is the one that people are like, yeah, I like it, but Metal Gear Solid 2 for me is my favourite game in the entire series. I adore it. I think it's wonderful. 1 is still up there as like one of my favourite games, but Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, it's just fantastic. I love it. I love it to death. I played it to death. Thought it was fantastic. Metal Gear Solid 3 is usually everyone's favourite. I didn't mind Metal Gear Solid 3, but I just preferred 2. Just a personal preference. But no, the original Metal Gear Solid, there are... Well, I say original. There are actually 2 or 3 before that were kind of like arcade-style games. So, the Metal Gear Solid that's on the PlayStation, there we go. That it had 2 moments that generally frightened me. There was one moment specifically with a corridor you go into with... I'm not going to say too much in case you do play it, but with a lot of dead people, and a certain character is there, and that frightened me, generally unnerved me. And there is another bit later where you're on a lift, and a load of people are on the lift with you, but you don't know. And there is a character that you're talking to on like a codec, and usually their faces don't move. Like their lips move sometimes and stuff, but their faces don't move. And all of a sudden it cuts to them looking straight at the camera, sort of going, "They're on the lift with you," and that really frightened me as well. And I was only young. I was very young when that happened. I was like, I can't even remember how old I was, but I must have been about 7 or 6 or 7, maybe 7 or 8, and it was genuinely really frightening. Like, it made me jump twice. I didn't like it, and now I play it and think this is fantastic. You know, the irony is that the stuff that's kind of creepy, like Psycho Mantis, I just thought he was cool. I think
that is fair.
Yeah, I think that the eerie style of art when it comes to games, I find that cool, and I really sort of appreciate it. It doesn't frighten me so much as it unnerves me. It makes me nervous. I'm like, oh, it's eerie and weird and creepy, but I like it. You know, like if you said, oh, you know, this is some scary imagery, they've done like this really weird body horror thing, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, that's really creepy. Where can I buy the statue of that?
Exactly, like literally Danganronpa 2, I'm just like, so we all have our favourites and we've all agreed that from the first game Sakura is best girl, but then you've got Nagito right here who is soft grunge crazy boy, and I'm here for it. It's like everyone else is like, he is terrifying. I'm like, but he's sweet. He's just weird in his own way.
Yeah, I like stuff that's creepy and eerie. It's like when you see something, you go, "Oh, that's weird. That couldn't exist, could it?" And then you think, "But if someone could make it in resin and I could have it on the top of my mantelpiece, I'll buy that."
Exactly.
I like skulls and stuff like that. I think they're cool. I think I like things like that, like Memento Moris and eerie stuff and creepy stuff. I think it's really cool. I've always kind of associated with it. So when I see something that's meant to be quite frightening and it doesn't make me jump, I immediately fall in love with it.
Yeah, no, I like the unnerving. I like the creepy. I hate jump scares. I can't handle the rising anticipation of something happening.
Yeah, see, I like the anticipation, but I don't like it being a jump. I like it to be something that makes me creeped out, you know? I like it to be something that gets progressively more unnerving, to the point where I'm kind of on edge, but stuff isn't going to make me jump, it's just going to make me wary. Yeah. That idea of that Cthulhu-esque world where, you know, you're a tiny speck and everything around you doesn't care and you're kind of like at the mercy of the world, that's creepy to me. That's creepy and weird and unnerving. I don't like it when something goes boogity 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 at you, because I just think, yeah, that's annoying and upsetting, and I will jump if a car backfires. It doesn't make it scary, it just makes it annoying. I will jump if a dog barks. Doesn't mean it scared me, it just means it's annoying. Like, it's not... if I'm scared, you know, it's a bit like if you go through a haunted house and it's full of like creepy stuff and smoke and smog, and you go through and there's actors pretending to be, you know, dead people rising out of the mud, and you're like, oh, this is really creepy and eerie and I like it. But as soon as someone jumps out and goes, blah, 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 I just go, oh, okay.
It almost feels like cheating.
Yeah, it's very much cheating, because a jump scare is a cheap horror trick.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of pulling out a penny from behind a kid's ear. You know, it's cheap, it's easy to do. It, you know, don't get me wrong, you have to have a little bit of a stage presence to do it, but for the most part, you think, yeah, all right. This isn't new, this isn't novel, it's not making me unnerved. I'm not going to remember it. The best way to put it is I won't remember a jump scare. I will remember the atmosphere of a horror game that's done well.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think we shouldn't have jump scares. There's like, what I was watching this god-awful film called Smiley, where, to put it in perspective, the tagline, like the blurb on the back of the DVD was like, if you type, I did it for the lulz 3 times into a chat room, then Smiley comes and kills you.
Oh, for God's sake.
This was released in 2012.
I hate it already.
It was £1 from a charity shop, and I'm not sorry because it gave me the best laugh I've had in a while, but it's like, they're all using BlackBerry phones and flip phones, and I was kind of thinking, oh, you know, this must be like, you know, made in like 2003. No, 2012.
Brilliant.
But my point is, all of the scares in that are the exact same fake out jump scare, to the point where it's cheating at this point.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't mind if it's done well, but I'm not a huge fan of it, because the thing is, I don't like feeling my stomach turn over.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds really weird, but one of the things I get is if I see blood on someone, and I'm not scared of blood, I couldn't care less, but if you see someone's got an injury I go, ooh, and for a second, my body will send a shiver, you know, like, ooh,
Yeah.
just an unnerve. And that feeling I like. I'm like, ooh, that's creepy, and it's making me nervous. If someone goes, bah, I just go, oh, and my stomach turns over, and I just go, oh, and 2 seconds later, I'm not scared anymore, I just think, for God's sake. Like, you know, it's not...
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's it.
I resent you for getting me, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like if you're falling asleep on the train, someone bangs on the window. I don't think, oh, good one. I just think you're an idiot.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I guess it's probably time for us to sign off.
Yeah.
What's your plan for the new week, Vicky?
Nothing, I don't think, to be honest. Like, I think I just want to get in some more get some more writing done. I've written like 1,800 words in the last couple of days, which is quite nice. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's a first draft, so yeah. What about you?
Not too much, really. I've got quite a few bits. Obviously, I have work as normal. Got quite a lot of articles to write and got a few videos. I've been working quite hard on quite a few videos today, so expect new stuff, everyone. Doing a lot of writing too, but I'm in Scotland at the end of the week. I go off on Friday, and I won't be back until Monday. But there will still be stuff going out all over the place, so you can catch that too. But other than that, all that's really left is to say thank you very much for joining me today, Vicky.
As always, it's been a pleasure.
Always fun, and I'll say goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. It's goodbye from me.
Yep, and me as well.
Thank you very much, guys, and goodbye.